I'm also being joined by a very special guest, Mr. Jayan Mehta, MD of Amul, with us on the broadcast. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for taking out this time to speak to us. Amul, of course, is a brand that every Indian, especially living in India and abroad, even abroad, they all know about. So no introductions needed there. I'd just like to understand from you. Like I said, usually the budget before, even though it's an interim budget, it is considered crucial because you expect the government to maybe roll out something that sounds grand, glittery and glamorous. What really has been your assessment, sir, of the budget?
No, I think it's a very budget in the positive direction, the announcements in the positive direction for the dairy industry specifically, and overall agriculture also in general. I'll talk about 3-4 major points. Honorable Finance Minister talked about creating a comprehensive program of dairy development for the benefit of the farmers of our country. Now, as you know, India is the largest producer of milk in the world. She also announced that India contributes about 24% of the total milk in the world. And milk is the largest agricultural crop of India. And the value of output of milk is more than wheat, paddy, oilseeds put together. 10 crore people, families in India depend on milk for their livelihood. So, having said that, in the next 10 years, India will be producing almost 1/3 of the total milk in the world. Right. So, here is an opportunity for us to become a dairy to the world, and the comprehensive support which the government plans to give, along with improvements in the breeding programs, the feeding programs, the investment programs. So, I think all this support will help India catapult to a great level to become a dairy to the world. While the budget speech was going on in the cabinet, the announcement came that cabinet approved also an investment fund or extension of the fund of about 30,000 crore rupees over the next 3 years. And Amul also in the next couple of years is going to invest more than 11,500 crore rupees for expansion of this entire infrastructure processing from farm to the market. So all in all, this is a way forward for the entire cooperative dairy industry, for the entire dairy industry of the country.
Mr. Mehta, when you say that Amul will be investing, an X amount of money, what exactly does that mean for the future, especially for dairy farming? Because we now also see a revolution happening amongst especially young Indians, where there is a lot of emphasis on what is being consumed, where is it coming from, how fresh it is, how really was the cattle kept and treated. Are we being able to make that transition, sir, in terms of, one can also call them global standards, that people feel that some sort of a standardization has to happen in terms of the milk that is reaching each and every household, and it can't just be something, a commodity that is limited to the upper class or the elite.
Absolutely right, because India is not just the largest producer of milk in the world, it's also the largest consumer of milk in the world. And the new set of consumers today are looking at every single aspect of milk. And when you say milk, it's actually a superfood because it's a combination of the good quality fats, good quality protein, good quality calcium, vitamins, and all this you cannot get anywhere else but in a simple compact product like milk. Having said that, you also look at the key aspect of the production of milk. Now, Honorable Finance Minister invoked the speech of Honorable Prime Minister delivered in last year's Independence Day when he said that we are looking at the forecasts of the country and government has to support them. He talked about the women. These include the women, this includes the youth, it includes the farmers, and it includes the garib or the poor. A dairy cooperative is one which very seamlessly integrates all four of them and works for the overall benefit of eradication of poverty, empowerment of women or women-led development, giving additional income to the farmers, and more importantly, help those who are the have-nots of the society. So this is the demonstration of the model, and here you are talking of scaling it up to a bigger level, to a global level, and when you say dairy to the world, of course it means matching international standards. And the investments which Amul or any other cooperative or organization in the country will make will help India get into that position.
And Mr. Mehta, you've mentioned that yes, India will be able to reach those targets with some of the announcements that have been made and with the ongoing existing schemes. But is there some aspect that the government perhaps needs to look at, say, for the next decade, as per you in your assessment?
Other announcements which the government made about investment in food processing sector, in storage, in branding, in marketing. So that is one part of it. The second announcement government also the budget speech also mentioned was about, say, compulsory blending of compressed biogas into the gas ecosystem of the country. Now, this highlights the importance of the dairy sector to promote the circular economy of the country. As you must be aware, Amul has already championed this. We have set up plants of collecting the dung from the farmer, processing it, making bio CNG out of it, running fuel stations. What gets left behind the slurry is biofertilizer, which goes back to the field, promotes organic farming. India imports a lot of fuel in form of gas. India imports a lot of fertilizers. Here you are taking care of both the elements of imports, reducing the import dependence and using our locally owned resources. Now, more than 30 crore cattle in the country. The cooperatives have a very strong supply chain collection of milk from the villages. We similarly start collecting dung, process it, and with the support of the government and blend 5 to 10% into this, you can imagine the advantage the country will have. This was also announced, and the government is going to support also the process of collection and processing of this bio waste in the country. So all in all, you have to connect the dots, actually look at what is the opportunity for the country, both domestic and international. Look at what are the challenges, how does the investment come in, how does the mobilization of the people come in. You add more cooperatives in the country, more dairies in the country, include more farmers into it, and I'm sure the benefits which we have seen India coming from a country which was very poor as far as milk production was concerned to becoming the largest producer, and now eventually leapfrog to become the dairy to the world.
Absolutely. Mr. Mehta, very interesting points there raised by you, because as Mr. Mehta was also pointing out, that it's not just about the supply of milk and milk products. There's a lot, because the ecosystem for Amul as a large cooperative already exists. So they're able to tap into what else is being produced on those farms that can then go into several different directions and perhaps becomes a great opportunity, Mr. Mehta, maybe even for young entrepreneurs to tap into and maybe come up with some sort of plans and ideas in their villages or in their districts of what they can do with the supply that's coming in from Amul. It's not necessary that it has to go to some, to some plant that the government has necessarily set up.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's the direction in which the country is moving. The focus on research, the investment being given on research, interest-free capital being extended for all this. I think this will really motivate the large number of youth, and more than two-thirds of the youth is in the rural areas. It will spark a lot of innovation and interest amongst every segment of the society.
And speaking of research, sir, there's an unprecedented focus this time around on R&D. The government has announced rupees 1 lakh crore corpus specifically for research and development in the nation. We're yet to understand the fine print of that, what that will really mean. But how do you feel that more people can perhaps be encouraged to take up R&D in, say, the farming or the animal husbandry sector, which can maybe help improve output, at the same time bring in newer technology?
You're very right in mentioning that, because see, dairy is a very comprehensive sector. So starting with the cow, looking after the breeding of the cow, feeding of the cow, improving the genetics, carrying out activities of providing veterinary services, procurement of milk, technology to monitor and measure the quality of milk, processing of milk into multiple products that you can make 50 products out of milk with different shelf life, different qualities, different characteristics, and different market opportunities. And then go to the market strategy using the conventional distribution channel, modern format store, e-commerce, direct to consumer, and the works. And then on top of it, there's a layer of branding, packaging, marketing, research, new product development, and obviously trying to satisfy the requirements of customer. So as the largest agricultural crop of the country, with the largest number of people involved into this sector, I think there'll be a huge impetus which the research and the opportunity of entrepreneurship will be unleashed thanks to these support measures by the government.
All right, Mr. Mehta, thank you so much for joining us. That's all the time that I have that we can perhaps spare, because there are lots of course, voices today with us, but we truly appreciate you taking out your precious time to explain to us what the budget truly means for the farming as well as the animal husbandry sector, and perhaps giving some ideas to the young people, entrepreneurs out there who will be watching us. Thank you so much, sir. Let me now quickly go across to, I also have with me on the broadcast, do we have Mr. Prashant Pitti with us?
I'm with you over here.
Yes, Mr. Pitti, thank you so much for taking our time, sir, to speak to NewsX today. I'd just like to begin by asking you, what has been your assessment of the budget?
No, of course, since this was an interim budget, it wasn't much expected. However, we were very pleasantly surprised that travel did take one of the center seats in the entire budget today. Among the 15-20 main points which were highlighted, around 4 or 5 of them were related to travel and its infrastructure. One of the most, one of the things which I'm really excited and happy about is the interest-free loan which is going to be granted to the new tourist destinations. This is going to be a long-term patient capital, which was much required. In the last 10 odd years, the amount of money which went to Banaras is literally paying back. I'll give a case related to Banaras. A decent amount of money was put in Banaras to clean up the ghats and other things. What that had led was about a decade ago, about 25,000 travelers used to go to Banaras on daily basis. Now that number has increased to 4 lakh to 5 lakh.
Wow.
Now, imagine if one person is only spending 1,000 rupees in Varanasi, right? Imagine the money which is coming on daily basis as a new economy to Banaras. So similarly, if patient money can come in various other tourist locations in this country, things can transform very quickly. Other thing which I'm extremely excited about is 40,000 bogies to be converted to Vande Bharat.
Yes.
Now, Vande Bharat is definitely a notch above our regular bogies. It comes very close to traveling in the air, and hence, this would actually transform, people's, priorities to travel via train, and hence ease off the burden on the flight side as well. This is something which I'm extremely excited about. Multiple other things happened. Clearly in the last 10 years, government has been more focused in Make in India. But in the last couple of years, we have been hearing, we have been getting signs from the government to encourage people to travel within India now.
Right.
So, which is why, we saw mentions related to spiritual tourism, about Lakshadweep as well, to be created as one of the top tourist destinations, connecting Lakshadweep and Andaman to the mainlands via sea routes. All these things are extremely well taken. I wasn't expecting so much of mention related to travel in this budget, but clearly the amount of focus the government is putting in is very, very encouraging to see the least.
Okay, at the same time, Mr. Pitti, you're talking about developing certain other sectors as far as tourism is concerned. India has always been a tourism hub, and we have certain cities or certain parts of the country that are very well developed as far as tourism is concerned. Very close to my state of Delhi is Rajasthan, which now has that entire ecosystem in place. But how do you think that the government, or perhaps us as society, how do you think we can better push certain other areas which are not that well developed? For example, right next to Jaipur, just an hour drive away, is a village called Dausa, which has the largest step well in the world. Now, I had the pleasure of going there last weekend, and I'd never even heard of it before that. So my basic point being, for example, my family wanted to go to Ranthambore to see the tigers, but it was full, and suddenly they find this place called Pilibhit in Uttar Pradesh, which is also really great for tiger sightings. How do we then promote and encourage some of these other places today?
So some portion of that responsibility lies on companies like us.
Yes.
So thank you for telling us what we need to do. Being the second largest travel provider, we do try our level best to advocate for the hidden gems which India has. Similarly to a place you talked about Dausa, there's another place in Rajasthan called as Javai.
Yes.
I frequently talk about Javai, where leopard sighting is extremely easy. In fact, you could just see them roaming around. So yes, at Easma Trip, we have created a landing page since last couple of years, which are basically hidden gems of India. More than 50 such locations we have adopted, and we are talking about it on regular basis. We are encouraging our people to check out those places before traveling abroad. That is the least which we can do. Other thing which I think which would work wonderfully well, both for the country and for our Honorable Prime Minister, would be, wouldn't it be great if he actually continues to take some small breaks, like the way he did it with Lakshadweep? I mean, with his massive following, if he can just go to places like Javai or Duaki River or Marari Kulam or the Sua, with his, he probably will get some break as well. And also the country economy will be boosted tremendously with him sharing the glimpse of India, which is not seen yet. So this is something which I would request him personally, but otherwise as a society, we have to look within. Of course, imagine the kind of money which is going to Banaras now, right? That money wasn't going earlier over there. Now, it is for us to, also understand that India has got everything. And I also have very high faith on Indian entrepreneurs. Indian entrepreneurship is at least at the pinnacle of what I can see. If there is one particular place which is upcoming, there are n number of entrepreneurs in that particular city to leap up that opportunity to create infrastructure around it, to create restaurant around it, to create around it. So all these things are very sortable since we are very entrepreneurial as a country. I believe that if there is a new location which comes up, we have to ensure that whatever development happens in, let's say, Lakshadweep, we have to maintain the flora and fauna of that particular place and not hurt the ecology.
Right, absolutely.
Of that particular place. But if we keep that in mind, there's no dearth of places in India which is yet to be seen, yet to be discovered, and to be made worldwide famous.
And Mr. Petty, before we let you go, because there has been, like I said, a major announcement of a corpus for research and development, do you think that there's some aspect of travel and tourism that can probably be taken up, under that sort of an umbrella? And how do we perhaps take research and development as far, like I said, specifically for travel tourism forward?
No, that's a great question. And honestly speaking, this 1 lakh crore corpus related to R&D is immensely going to benefit the country. Right now, the Silicon Valley, the Silicon Valley for the world is San Francisco. And the reason why is that there is a lot of investment, there's a lot of money which is available for R&D. In India, unfortunately, money for R&D did not exist in the same amount or the same corpus as what exists in US. And that definitely gave the impetus to the US to become the technology capital for the world. There's so much innovation which is required in tourism industry. For example, I anticipate 10 years from now, there will be pods which will be self-driving in nature, which will have bed inside. You will just land at your airport. These pods will come. You will just there'll be a coffee machine in that pod, and you will just get into your bed, and that pod, which has a bed inside, autonomous, self-driving, will take you to your home. Even if it's 2 hours away, you're not going to feel anything less because you're already relaxing in a bed in that pod. That's the kind of future I imagine in travel. I imagine a future where it's going to be flying taxis taking you from one place to the other place. Since roads are going to be chock-up blocked in few years, the air will become a place which will decentralize the entire infrastructure. Since air is abundantly available, it will centralize the entire infrastructure. So these are the things which I believe that will happen as a future in the travel, and clearly a lot of R&D is required for us to see to fruition. And since we are talking about it, I may as well want to tell your audience that there is one big excellence of center in IIT Madras. I graduated from IIT Madras. IIT Madras has this research park which is attached to the IIT Madras itself. And government has already given I think government has given about 400 crores worth of grants related to semiconductor industries, which can be incubated in that research park in IIT Madras. And I see the results of those 400 crores of incubation for R&D. It has happened about 3-4 years ago, and I believe there are 4 or 5 unicorns which can come out of that IIT Madras research park related to semiconductor itself. There's umpteen number of research which is happening over there, and there are few companies which are almost at the stage of breakout. So imagine if the money is put in the right place, in the right hands. Right. Imagine the kind of economy it can derive.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't have even imagined. So this 1 lakh crore worth of R&D, money which is going to be available, it's something unimaginable in my mind of what all it can do for the country.
Absolutely. Mr. Petty, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Like I said, that's all the time that I can spare as more and more voices, of course, come on board with us to give us their assessment. But that was Prashant Pitti, CEO of Ease My Trip, sharing his thoughts on the interim budget. I also have with me Niharika Soni, Managing Director of EdNet Consultants. Niharika, thank you so much for speaking with NewsX. I'd like to understand from you, firstly, your assessment of the interim budget.
Thank you so much for getting me here, because it's a wonderful opportunity to talk about the impact of this budget, interim budget, on the education sector. So, having said that, I see that there was this in 2023, there was about 68,000 crores, which was allocated for the school education, and about 45,000 crores to higher education. And I think it's going to remain the same. But there's a lot of emphasis here also for the growth and the enhancement of Eklavya schools, which is then the rural areas, as well as which especially for kids coming in from marginalized backgrounds or special backgrounds, and as well as research and development, as well as a lot of digital transformation and encouragement and motivation for EdTech institutions to take on the lead for imparting education through e-learning to these rural areas, which is amazing because India is one of the top 10 most affordable internet connections, and even down to villages and the rural areas.
Right.
Kids have smartphones. So encouraging the EdTech and having e-learning is like reaching out to the most remotest part of our country is, I think, going to be a huge game changer. And with our Prime Minister being such a huge visionary, I believe all these EdTech firms should collaborate with the Prime Minister's vision to bring about this positive social impact in the education sector. Okay. So there's going to be a huge game changer here, with more and more universities, institutions, like growth of IITs, triple IITs, AIMS, medical colleges, nursing homes where the medical schools are concerned, training of teachers with more innovative pedagogy, preparing them for the new age, enhancing or bringing about AI-related courses or technology in the K-12 education, which is, I believe, very, very important, because now with AI taking in a lot of jobs, it is a requisite to start early as in high school.
I was going to come to that, Niharika. When the government talks about setting up more of, of the prestigious and premium institutes, or when they talk about the Skill India mission and how many youth have been skilled, are we actually being able to see that, though, on the ground? Are we actually taking up skills that are truly futuristic in nature?
You know what? The education landscape is very, very, very dynamic, and it is evolving at a very fast pace, especially after COVID. There's this 4.0 revolution, there's a digital transformation. Yes, the government is encouraging the three-pronged approach, which is skilled, reskill, and upskill. So this is, I believe, very important, and I see that. I see that in the ground, because as an educationist for the past 20 years, it is just not about rote learning anymore. It's a Herculean task, but we are moving in the right direction. And I think our Prime Minister, the government, has a vision of integrating your theoretical knowledge with skills, which will make you more employable. So it's just not skills on its own, and neither is it just books on your own. So it's a proper integration. That's what I was coming down to, when he talks about, aligning with the NEP, that is a NEP policy which focuses on a holistic learning with research, with skills. I believe that if I had to give a suggestion, I would say that straight after class 12, we should not have that mindset of just going straight into an undergraduate education. I think we could look at a gap year where the students can go like an apprenticeship into the industry, get some experience in in practical training in a real life situation or a real work environment, for them to even understand where their interest is, because that would help them to even make right choices as to what they need to study or what they would want to study at the undergraduate level. So yes, I believe that the government and our Prime Minister Modi ji is really a visionary, and he's focusing on skills because he himself realizes that in order to get a job, it is important to be skilled and just not have a degree.
Okay, at the same time, Niharika, when we talk about this 1 lakh crore corpus for R&D, and I'm sure a lot of it was focused on sending out a message to young entrepreneurs as well. How is it that from a school or a college level, one can encourage people to now have more of an entrepreneurial mindset in India rather than looking to graduate and then getting some sort of a job somewhere?
So that's exactly what I was going to tell you. When you talk about this 1 lakh corpus, doesn't mean that everyone will get that opportunity. You need to be knowledgeable. You need to be skilled. You need to have a plan. You need to know what is the kind of startup you want to go for before going into it. Means you have to have some kind of, I personally believe that you need to have experience before you venture into an entrepreneurial world. You have to have experience in a professional world. So having said that, yes, the government has put in 1 lakh corpus for edtech startups, as well as anyone who's coming out with an entrepreneurial plans. But for them to be successful, it is also very important for them to be skilled and knowledgeable and experienced and exposed. So in the school level, encouraging the students to take part in entrepreneurial competitions, like we have Shark Tanks, and there are many more of those which are national, international based, so that they can come up and brainstorm and come up with ideas which is innovative and which will actually create an impact. So it's just not about starting, but actually coming up, thinking about an idea which would be successful and which would make actually a positive change in the society. I think that's the end of it. Yeah.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.